Hey there, thanks for coming to my video. And just because you did that, now you're my brother and my sister, and I'm not quite sure what you are, but doesn't matter. I'm not trying to pass any judgment. I'm entertained because right now we're all family and we're gonna save the art of nut cracking. Some people think it's so tough, but really it's not. You just gotta need a little bit of patience and experimentation. I've never seen Hickory Nuts in a store. I've heard where people would say, Walmart has them. Couldn't prove it by me. I did see on the internet where you can buy a handful of nuts, Hickory Nuts, roughly 30 or 40 of them, pounds worth, for $6. And I actually cleaned some of those, a pound's worth, and got 3/4 of a cup out of that when it's all said and done, roughly 3 ounces. I looked on the internet and I saw some, well, those for sale for $6, and then already picked out and cleaned. I saw some for $26 a pound. A pound! Another place on eBay, they had them for $30 for 3/4 a pound. That's outrageous. They're a good nut, my favorite nut. I use them for fruitcake and people rave about it. I know that sounds crazy, but a good fruitcake is possible. But pies, cakes, cookies, that's the nut to do it. Besides the internet, they're all over the place. You probably tripped over many times yourself. Here's what they look like out in the woods. There's all different varieties. Some are bigger, some are smaller, but those are typical. A lot of people have them in their backyards or front yards. They don't want them. They're a nuisance to them. Golf courses. A lot of times I go on a golf course, all kind of nuts laying around, and the groundskeepers, they'd almost pay you to get rid of them for free versus $26. All right. Okay. All my life I've used a hammer to crack nuts, and this is a ripping hammer. You can use any kind. It doesn't have to be this big. Doesn't have to be that fancy. It can be smaller. I don't think I'd recommend a mallet because that's too big a head, and you might actually smash your fingers. The other tool of the trade is a piece of old railroad tie. My uncle used to work for the railroad company, and so he helped himself with some extra. Don't tell B&O. If you don't have an uncle in the railroad industry, you can use a brick. It'll do the same thing. Might not last as long, but they're available and they're cheap. I want to tell you a little bit about Hickory Nuts. See how this is kind of rounded on the top? It looks probably smooth. There's actually some ridges on it, and that's the cracking point. I'll show you another one there while she's here. This one's more narrow. You can see more of the ridge. And actually, when you crack the nuts, you're going to put it on edge. I've seen another guy, Coyote Guy I think his name is, he did it sideways, but I don't think that's such a good idea. I'm going to show you this way. And because it has that rolled edge, you're going to have to kind of make sure it doesn't roll on you. Just hang on to it so it doesn't roll. It's kind of like the old, back up a minute, the old sword fighting movie that you might have seen many, many years ago. How tight do I hold it? Well, it's like a bird, he said. If you hold it too tight, you're going to probably get arthritis and cramps and you're going to kill it. If you hold it too loose, it'll fly away. Okay, don't need that. So just to write against experimentation. I marked these 2 nuts because anything I've read and what I do actually is you're going to hit 1/3 of the way from the edge. You know, you want in the middle, but you want about 1/3 from the edge. Which edge? That's a very good question. I found, and I threw the best one away, but here's one. You can see that little, like zit I call it. I'm not a botanist, so I don't know what the word is, but a lot of them have that little bump on the edge or a little dried up scab. And sometimes you can see hairs or roots on the other end. The root end is the one I want to hold facing my palm with that scab to the outside. So let's crack some, okay? And see if I'm all talk or if it really works. All right. I don't want to go in the middle of my iron. I'm going to actually put my hand on the side so my hand is steady and I got a firm hold on this. and you can see how it wants to wobble around. And when you start tapping it, you'll notice that, see how it slips away? That's too much of an angle. You just, like nail on a nail, you're just gonna get it right on the solid, square hit. Now, I have several varieties of nuts in here. Some are gonna take 3 hits, some will take maybe 10. But you don't want to, it's not a race, you're not driving a nail into a big old timber. You're just going to gently tap it until it fractures, and then you're going to increase that fracture to the crack that you want. So let's go, and I'll try to be quiet so you can hear the tapping and maybe the fracture. You hear that little crack? That means a fracture. Now I just want to open it wider. There's the wider. Okay, I still want more of a crack there, but let's see if I can get it. Yeah, there it opened up there. Now let's open it and see what we got. I kind of challenged myself to get at least 1/2 out of each nut. So that I think I can get a pretty good piece there. So we'll keep that for later. These other ones, they'll break open, and you can get that one out pretty easy. And since I have you here, I'll get back to that one. This one would be a little bit harder to get. You want to get the ends of it off if you can. So just watch your fingers. There. Now I can get in there easier and get that nut out of there with the bigger piece. All right, let's try one more. Gonna put the zit to the outside. Got my mark there. And actually, like this is it centers itself like that. I actually kind of rock it forward to that zit so I get more of an angle in that back corner. Hear that? Sure you did. You're not deaf. Oh, too hard. Sometimes if you do it too hard, then it... Okay, look at that. You got a whole half there. Good job. One more? You have time for one more? Yes? No? Okay, one more. Let's do this one. Oh, good one. See, I'll just gentle tap it. See those fractures? That's what you want. Open up, everyone's a surprise. Didn't get quite a hole in there, but I think you're getting the idea, right? All right, now, you have all these cracked in your house. How are you going to get the rest of that stuff out of there? There's all kind of picks that I have several to look from. This one is like the cheapest one you got, and about all that is good is for the scrap man. So I'm going to just get rid of that piece of crap. Here we have actually 2 from my childhood, and that's the one I didn't tamper with, and I sharpened this one to more of a point, because if it's too, especially like that junk one, if you use that, you're gonna get just shavings and little junk out of it. I got this, I think it's like a dental pick, and actually Ace sells dental picks that you can use, and I should probably warn you that you're going to probably prick yourself. So have some tissues or a hanky handy. Let's get this big one out there. Okay, you see how it's shaped like a heart? I usually like to start at the top, kind of just cautiously move it around, free it. And if you feel stubborn, you can always flip it around, go to the other side. Half of a nut. Good job. All right, let's try this one too. You have time, right? That one, he wants to come out right away. I'm kind of loosen up at the other hand. Oh, that's all right. There's plenty of other ones. And then on these, I just like to wedge it in there and pry up and away. You're not going to get a big piece out of that, but I'm a bit anal, so I like to get every piece out of it. All right. What else? I don't see any of these, but this might be an example. Sometimes you'd be working on a piece like this, and you want to go in the middle and dig through it. And if that sometimes the fracture you can't see, but it'd be right there. And that's the best time to have the pick go through the nut and get your finger. So just be careful, especially in the middle parts. All right. One thing I didn't mention when you're cracking them, when that nut fractures, it doesn't make any shrapnel or anything, but because it breaks, and I can't really explain this very well, but it's gonna sting your finger. I've been doing this long enough that my hands are calloused anyway that it doesn't bother me. There's nothing wrong with wearing a heavy duty glove and holding them and doing it that way. All right? I think you're on your own. I taught you what I could. Be gentle with the tapping. Increase it more and more. If you want to really simplify it, these are English walnuts, and they'll probably crack in one. You know, they're paper thin. You can almost open it. You don't need a hammer for these, but if you want to just practice your technique, they're a lot easier to crack, and then you can do your comfort level and go what route you can. So I hope you find a lot of nuts. Hope you stick with it. Keep the art alive. Don't let it die. Because there's a lot of people, they don't know what they're missing. Thanks.